Hello cookie fans! In this video I'm going to demonstrate my take on basic chocolate chip cookies. Basic because I don't put in any competing flavors, just trying to stay close to the classic concept: dough and chocolate. Chocolate chip cookies are so common that you can find good recipes for them anywhere, but since these are the most classic cookies out there, I'd like to give my contribution too, and hopefully reveal something unique. So before we get started, I'm just going to collect some eggs. There's one. Come here, chicken. Aye. Just need 2 more. There we go. Let's first ready the volume of butter we will need to make brown butter. I'm using a digital scale for accuracy, or if you have 2 1/4-pound sticks, that will work great too. Little bit too much, so I'll put some back. Turn the stovetop onto low heat. For now, we just need to melt the butter, and there will be a lot of stirring. Then turn up the heat. This is when the butter will eventually start browning. When it does, it is hard to see the dark-colored specks at this point, at least in the video, but I can tell where they are. In a moment, you'll see them for sure. There they are. The toasted milk solids are quite visible without all the foam in the way. Some of the butter's water content got evaporated, so if we don't replace the loss of liquid, the dough will probably be lumpy. At least 15 minutes are enough for the butter to cool off. In go the sugars. Time to prepare the eggs, and my recipe requires 90 grams, which is roughly 2 medium eggs. Whole eggs are fine, but if you can add an extra yolk like I am doing here, the cookie will taste just a bit richer and chewier. With an excess, I will weigh out the required amount and discard or repurpose the remaining egg content. Now I will add the prepared egg mixture and the vanilla extract to complete the bowl of wet ingredients. Normally, I combine the leavening agents with the flour in a separate bowl, but for the video, the light and dark contrasts seem to be more visually engaging, so I'll do it that way. Cornstarch sure is sticky though. It is easier to just use measuring spoons. It doesn't look like dough yet, but that sure changes when you pour in and mix the flour. Now it is time for my favorite part, the chocolate chips. It is true what they say, you can never have enough. And if anyone says otherwise, and they are knocking at the door, don't let them in. I always chill the dough in the fridge before baking. That way the cookies don't spread too much in the oven, and the flavors have time to meld and mature. I am going to make 9 cookies at 60 grams each. You can use a scoop if you prefer, especially if you don't chill the dough when it is soft. But my chilled dough here is quite cold and hard, so cutting and weighing is the easier method in this circumstance. Plus, I like precise measurements. Chocolate chip cookie dough is not very dense, so you only have to roll them into round or almost round shapes. They will spread on their own just fine in the oven. I prefer to bake chocolate chip cookies at 375 degrees Fahrenheit, but I'll talk more about that in the comments section. This is my way of preparing the chips to be used for garnishing. You'll see in a bit. Don't they look nice and glossy on top? I guess I could have sprinkled some sea salt on top as well. It is popular. Anyway, these cookies took me a while to perfect. Enjoy! Let's talk about baking types and temperatures, using a conventional oven versus a convection oven, and heat settings. With chocolate chip cookies, it is highly desirable when the edges are crispier and darker, while the centers are softer and chewier, as seen in this stock media image, so someone did a good job. In theory, baking temperatures would produce different heat gradients from the centers to the edges, and some people on the internet do talk about this, but in reality it seems to me that this effect works best with a convection oven that wind scorches with a fan. Commercial bakeries use convection ovens, so I bought some commercial cookies just for reference. Notice how the Starbucks cookie has a nice gradient of soft light brown to crispy dark brown at the edges? If you are using a conventional or non-convection oven like most people, including me, then browning the edges is harder to achieve in general. Sure, it also depends a bit on how long you leave them in the oven, but all three temperatures of my conventionally baked cookies look similar, don't they? Not really seeing a big difference in heat gradients, partly because my baking times are low. That's okay though, I like cookies to be soft. Here are my cookies only shortly out of the oven, next to the retail cookies for comparison. Since other factors come into play as well, such as the age of the dough, size of the cookies, etc., some will still prefer the traditional 350, and that is fine too. For myself, I just bake at whatever temperature is convenient and adjust the baking times accordingly. But if I had to pick one, then it would be 375. Currently, the results I get kind of look like this. But one day, when I upgrade to a convection oven, then supposedly I will be able to experiment with a greater range of heat signatures. The next comment is also a question. Do the chocolate chips matter? Or put differently, does the type of chocolate you use, whatever it may be, make a big difference? The short answer is yes, it does. The long answer is, since the chocolate is the only major control factor in this otherwise plain cookie, knowledge of the best chocolate for your taste will go a long way. Now, whether you like milk chocolate, semi-sweet, or bittersweet chocolate is all fine, but all chocolate is not made the same. There are differences in manufacturing processes and types. The following are the chips that I normally buy because they are commonplace on the market where I live: Hershey's Special Dark and a seemingly Walmart exclusive brand called Great Value. They are both 50% cacao. They are both good in very slightly different ways. Now, I've tried various other chips ranging from between 53 to 72% cacao because I am a fan of bittersweet, but only one of them stood out as remarkable: the Ghirardelli 60% cacao chips. I watched Jack Bishop on America's Test Kitchen, who said that the Ghirardelli 60% chips were the best for chocolate chip cookies, or the taster's favorite. And so I wanted to put that to the test. And I think he was right. They are the best. But they're also very expensive by comparison, at least where I live. And although I did use them in this video, for the lower price and higher availability of the Hershey's and the Great Value, they certainly are still flavorful enough as second choices. Now, what I found to be the most remarkable about these Ghirardelli chips is that for being as dark as 60%, they are amazingly creamy to the taste somehow, a quality more characteristic of lower cacao percentages. Or put differently, all of these bittersweet offerings that I have tried seem to be more bitter than they are sweet, while the Ghirardelli chips are as sweet as they are bitter. I gave 10 test samples to my coworkers at the shop, consisting of one cookie with the 60% Ghirardelli and one cookie with the 50% Great Value, and 8 of them said that they liked the 60% more, and only 2 of them preferred the 50%. The next comment has to do with the notoriety of brown butter in chocolate chip cookies. How important is it? Most home bakers just use creamed or melted butter. But some people on YouTube say that brown butter is the secret to perfect chocolate chip cookies. Are they exaggerating, or is it really better than yellow butter? Well, I have tried both many times, and they both taste great, but I have not noticed a major difference between the two. Although I like creamed butter, I do concede that the brown butter has a bit more flavor to it, and additionally is more noticeable to the taste when used in a cookie such as this, with fewer or no competing flavors, causing the butter to be more noticeable. By the way, isn't it interesting that famous cookie bakeries on YouTube such as these 4 in New York and elsewhere do not brown the butter they use in their chocolate chip cookies that are said to be among the best in the world? They don't seem to be missing out on whatever it takes to make the best chocolate chip cookies. At long last, after many searches, I finally found this video of a bakery where they brown most or at least some of the butter for their cookies. But this is the only cookie bakery on YouTube to do so that I have found to date, so they might be an exception to the norm. Now, in the elite YouTube/internet community of home baking, it is often said that the ideal chocolate chip cookies cannot be achieved without making brown butter. So there is wiggle room for debate on the matter, and it is something to make sense of on your own terms. Again, I think that brown butter in chocolate chip cookies is only a minor advantage. Otherwise, you can't go wrong with creamed or melted butter. They are delicious too. I shared 8 cookie samples at work, and most of them liked the brown butter, but some did not. Now let's bring it all together and try to determine, really just for the sake of argument, and because for some this is a matter of fact, but try to determine whether the true secret ingredient in chocolate chip cookies is the type of chocolate or the use of brown butter. If only one of them could be exalted as the real secret ingredient, as some do, which would it be? This is quite tricky because the way butter is prepared is less diversified than the range of chocolates available, meaning that with butter you either cream it, melt it, or brown it. Quite simple, really. But with chocolate, there is a lot to choose from, so it is not simple. If you get the wrong butter, to most people, well, everyone, it will still taste good. If you get the wrong chocolate, a greater number of people will be dissatisfied. You probably know what I mean. Milk chocolate lovers, for example, are easily disappointed by bittersweet. It's okay, 'cause I feel similar about them. Selecting the right butter to your taste is quite easy. They're all good. But selecting the right chocolate to your taste can be complicated, especially for an overachiever like me. Therefore, in my opinion, the secret to perfect chocolate chip cookies is the chocolate, not the butter. It's even in the name. Thanks for watching if you made it this far, and see you in the next cookie video.